Persona 4 Arena Ultimax is that one classmate of yours that always looks and sounds their incomparable best. They never have a hair out of place, they never put their foot in their mouth, they just look and sound infuriatingly good at all times. Ultimax dazzles with such unrelenting style that one might naturally assume that it lacks substance, and yet it's a far deeper brawler than its predecessor thanks to all new characters, shadow versions of existing ones, and a laundry list of smart system tweaks that spice up the already excellent gameplay significantly.
Let's be honest,
You barely managed to win.
Just like 2012's original Persona 4 Arena, Ultimax puts on a great show regardless of how good you are at fighting games, especially if you're a fan of the wonderful JRPG series it's based off of. Every part of the experience, starting from the opening cinematic, feels like it's actually from Persona 4. That game's exemplary tunes are put to good use in Ultimax, lending it a driving, toe-tapping energy both in and out of combat. The meaty story mode benefits the most from the direct connection with Persona 4. It picks up where the events of Persona 4 Arena left off, which itself was a direct extension of the story told in Persona 4. Developer Arc System Works collaborated tightly with Atlus to create a ton of story content using the same voice actors and presentational elements as the source material.
Don't you like Mitchan's amazing bod too, Yosuke?
The result is a story that's equally well written and entertaining as anything from Persona 4. And that's no small feat, especially for a fighting game. But be warned, if you're just here for the fighting, story mode will test your patience with seemingly interminable stretches without any actual gameplay. It's more like a graphic novel with a few fights sprinkled in. There's even an option to have the computer do the fighting for you, so people who just want to experience the story can do so. Even outside of story mode though, Ultimax fully leverages the unique personality of Persona 4. Seemingly every stage, special move, and win pose cleverly calls back to it. Even if you don't get all the references, the eye-popping color palette and strangely macabre art direction are a 1-2 punch that gives every fight real character. Whether you know what you're doing or not, you'll want to do more of it just for the joy of seeing and hearing it. Ultimax's infectious personality and top-notch presentation are not a smokescreen intended to hide other deficiencies. They're just the garnish atop a well-prepared meal. The fighting here is every bit as accessible and deep as in P4A, but with even more nuance for intermediate and advanced players to delve into. A host of new characters come with Ultimax, and they share the ingenious designs of the returning cast. Each is cleverly built around a unique mechanic or resource, like music, dogs, or baseball. You know, the fighting game staples. As entertaining as they all are, though, it's the various subtle changes to the fighting system that really impressed me. The entire cast has been rebalanced, and while there are still dominant characters, the overall power curve between them feels flatter, making matchups that felt kind of hopeless before more workable. The newly included shadow versions of nearly the entire cast provide an entirely different way to approach characters you already know. They lack awakening mode or a proper defensive burst, but in return they get constant access to their awakening super, the ability to carry super meter over between rounds, and something called Shadow Frenzy, which grants them nearly unlimited meter for a limited time. The combination of these elements makes them really risky to play since they don't have a get-out-of-jail-free card, but when fully utilized, Shadow Frenzy allows you to convert almost any loose hit into potentially match-ending damage. The risk and reward feel completely in line with one another, and scoring a fast second-round KO with a Shadow character feels incredible. My favorite overall change, though, is how fatal counters now work. In addition to having moves that score a fatal when landed on counter hit, there are now moves that, when stuffed or punished, will always result in a fatal, no matter what move was used to do so. It makes many moves that were once fairly safe more of a commitment, and opens up fatal combo possibilities considerably. Unrelenting pressure is still a huge part of how Ultimax is played, but at least now there are more opportunities to turn a good read into big-time damage. There are plenty of good things to say about Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. It looks and plays great, it's easy to dive into for beginners, and rewarding to learn for veterans. Its irresistible sense of style speaks for itself, but given how much I love its predecessor, the biggest compliment I can pay it is that it's 100% the sequel that Persona 4 Arena deserved. For more on Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, be sure to keep it right here on IGN.